Dear students, this is lecture 7. It's about estimating a project time and cost. We will discuss about the quality of estimates, and we will compare top-down methods of estimating against bottom-up method. We are in the 5th block of our project management block diagram. First of all, let's find out why estimating time and cost are important. Estimates are needed to support good decisions. Estimates are needed to schedule work. Estimates are needed to determine how long the project should take and its cost. So the main two reasons for estimating is to estimate the time of the project and the cost of the project. But in both, we will judge about making good decision if this project is feasible or not. Also, estimates are needed to determine whether the project is worth doing, the same reason. Estimates are needed to develop cash flow needs, because we all know that most projects need to cash flow from banks due to a loan or something else. Banks require project managers to have estimates to how much they need cash for each week or each month or each year of their project. So making list of estimates is very important to get cash flow from banks. Estimates are needed to determine how well the project is progressing. Estimates are needed to develop time phase budget and establish the project baseline. And both these estimates are needed to determine how well the project is progressing. We all know if each step of work of a project has its own estimates, if we follow the project within the estimates boundary, it means that we are in a good shape. While if we are exceeding the estimates, then we need to make some proper changes up front to deal with future issues. At the end, estimates are needed to develop time phase budgets. For each milestone of the project, we have to determine how much we need to spend to do the project, which is mainly called establishing a project baseline. Those are the main things that we consider very important for estimating time and cost. Okay, for estimating a project, there are several factors influence the quality of the estimates. Some of these are project, people, external factors. Sometimes the quality of estimates is very important to be considered for long-term projects, while in small projects it's going to be negligible. The first factor is the planning horizon. The quality of estimates depends on the planning horizon. Estimates of current events are close to 100% accurate, but are reduced for more distant events. At the beginning of the project, you may consider that your estimates are 100%, but as you go with the project work, this may vary. The accuracy of time and cost estimates should improve as you move from the conceptual phase to the point where individual work packages are defined. For example, let's say that you estimated the project cost about $500,000. At the middle of the project work, your estimates may have a little bit changed, but for the rest of the project, your estimates must be more accurate because you already passed the 50% of your project work. The second factor is the project duration. Time is very important in projects. Time to implement new technology, for example, has a habit of expanding in an increasing nonlinear fashion. Sometimes poorly written scope specification for new technology results in errors in estimating times and costs. Long-term or long-duration projects increase the uncertainty in estimates, as we discussed before. For little short time duration projects, it's not that a big deal, because if anything's happened, you can easily fix it, and it won't delay the project timeline too much. The third factor is people. The people factor can also introduce errors in estimating times and costs, because we all know estimates are made by people and sometimes by some simulation programs. For example, accuracy of estimates depends on the skills of the people making the estimates. If the people hired to make the estimate are not so professional, they may introduce some errors in time and cost. Some other factors that related to people: some people in the middle of the project, they may quit job or move to another company. So it will also affect the quality of estimates. Project structure and organization. As we visited, project organization is very important for doing projects. Which project structures chosen to manage the project will influence time and cost estimates. One of the major advantages of a dedicated project team discussed earlier is the speed gained from concentrated focus and localized project decisions. This speed comes at an additional cost of tying up personnel full-time. We may visited some project organization, as you remember: functional, dedicated project team, matrix organization. Each of these organizations may affect the quality of estimates. It means that if you are going to estimate project cost and time, and you are working in a functional organization, it is different than if you make estimates if you are working in dedicated project team. That's it. Later on, we will discuss one tool that many estimators use, which is called padding estimates, which is very important. In some cases, people are inclined to pad estimates. What do we mean by that? For example, if you are asked to, how long will it take you to drive to the airport? You may say that, okay, give a rough estimate about 30 minutes. Assuming 50%, you'll get there in 30 minutes. If you are asked how is the fastest, or asked what is the fastest you could possibly get there, you may reduce the driving time to 20 minutes. Suppose that is Friday, no traffic is going on, so you will make it in 20 minutes. Finally, if you are asked how long the drive would you take if you absolutely had to be there to have a meeting with an important person, say the president, it's likely you would increase the estimate to say 50 minutes, because you are not going to be late in this meeting. So people usually, based on the work package importance, or if this work level is on the critical path of the project, you may pad some estimates. Not increase time, but pad estimates. The other factor is organizational culture. Organizational culture can significantly influence project estimates. In some organizations, padding estimates is tolerated and even privately encouraged. But other organizations place a premium on accuracy and strongly discourage estimating based on luck or gamesmanship. So some organization, like a functional organization, may consider padding estimates okay, but some private organizations, or which is time is very important to them, they require an estimator to be very accurate, and so they discourage making estimates based on luck or experience, for example. There are several factors that may affect the quality of estimates, which are non-project factors, can impact the time and cost of the same. For example, equipment downtime. Some of the tools you are using, they have failed to work again, so you have to order another one. and it will make time and cost more. This will significantly alter the time of the estimates. National days, vacations, legal limits. Sometimes governments issue new regulations and can influence the project estimates. Sometimes something unprecedented will happen, just like today or these days. Coronavirus impacted several organizations to stop or suspend their work for several weeks. Sometimes project priority can influence resource assignment and impact time and cost. For example, a company currently working on several projects, say 5 projects, and suddenly they choose to prioritize project 1 and 2 over 3, 4, and 5. So they need the full resources for these 2 projects. This may greatly affect the quality of estimates of project 3, 4, and 5. These are factors that need to be considered when making estimates for a project. Okay. For estimating a project, you would have a guideline to estimate time and cost and resources. Managers recognize time, cost, and resource estimates must be accurate if your project planning, scheduling, and controlling are to be effective. However, there is substantial evidence suggesting poor estimates. Poor estimates actually may lead to major contributor to projects that have failed. There are some statistics that some projects in the world fail to do so because of the poor estimates. Even though a project has never been done before, a manager can follow 7 guidelines to develop a useful work package estimates. So these guidelines are very general. So even if you have zero experience about doing a new project, you could follow these guidelines. The first one is responsibility. At the work package level, estimates should be made by the persons most familiar with these tasks. We visited work package level in the WES structure, work package structure. It is the lowest level. You should ask the people who are most familiar with this task about the estimates. Usually the estimates are times, cost, and resource. The second guideline is use several people to estimate. You may ask several people to estimate the cost or time for such task and take the average of their numbers, which is better. Instead of using one person to do the estimates, you may ask several persons to do the estimate and take the average among them. The third guideline is normal condition. When you are going to make an estimate in time, cost, or resource, you should always rely on normal conditions and efficient methods to do that, such as efficient software to do that, or using a new software, which can consider many factors. You are not allowed in this term overestimating or underestimating in such case. Number 4, before beginning your project, you have to comply or rely on time units. Specific time units should be selected early in the development phase of the project. All task time estimates need consistent time units. Estimates of time must consider whether normal time is represented by calendar days, work weeks, person days, or single shift hours, even minutes. In practice, the use of work days is the dominant choice for expressing task duration. When you build a plan or plan a project, you should use specific time units. How long will you finish the project? Weeks, in days, in years, etc. The fifth guideline is independence. Estimators should treat each task as independent of other tasks that may be integrated by the WBS. So each work package estimates are independent than others. You should not rely upon other work packages to be finished to estimate the new one. For example, say that WP1 should be finished on Monday. So WP2 should start on Monday and finish on Thursday. You are not going to do that. You just need to fix your time needed to finish WP2. It takes 2 days to do P2. That's it. It's independent than other work packages. Number 6 is contingencies. Contingencies means based on condition. Work package estimates should not include allowances for contingencies. You should not follow conditions to do this work package. The estimate should assume normal or average conditions, even though every week work package will not materialize as planned. Sometimes in the middle of the project, some changes or conditions may change. But when you're doing estimates, you will consider normal. Again, normal conditions or average conditions. Number 7. Adding risk assessment to the estimate helps to avoid surprises to stakeholders. This is very important. It is obvious some tasks carry more time and cost risk than others. For example, a new technology usually carries more time and cost risk than a proven process. So to avoid make some surprises to the stakeholders, you may put some risk assessments among, like might need more time or might need, although you follow the full guideline on normal conditions. These are the 7 guidelines to making estimates: time, cost, and resources. Let's repeat it. Responsibility: use several people to estimate. Always use normal condition. Be fixed on your time units. You should be independent in estimating work packages. You should not follow contingencies or conditions to do your estimates. And lastly, you should add some risk assessment to the estimates to help avoid surprises. Now you are going to discuss the methods for making estimates. There are 2 main methods, top-down and bottom-up, but each has its own category to work within a project. This does not mean that top-down is better than bottom-up or bottom-up that is better than top-down. Each method has its special level of project. At the strategical level, top-down estimates methods are used to evaluate the project proposal. Sometimes much of the information needed to derive accurate time and cost estimate is not available in this initial phase of the project. For example, the design is not finished yet. In these situations, top-down approach estimating are used until the tasks in the WBS are clearly defined. Then we can jump to the bottom-up approach. There are several methods using top-down approach. One of it is consensus method. Consensus method is just like election. You may arrange or collect. This method simply uses pooled experience of senior or middle managers to estimate the total project duration and cost. Suppose that you are in a meeting and 5 people, they put their estimates in a file. The whole meeting will vote for the best, they consider for the best estimator. This is called a pooled experience. They will follow a single person because they think that he is the best, most efficient estimator. This is called consensus methods. Also, there is a ratio methods. Top-down methods, sometimes called parametric, usually use ratios or surrogates. Surrogates means like associates or assistants or something similar to it, surrogates, to estimate project times or costs. Top-down approaches are often used in the concept of need phase of a project to get an initial duration and cost estimate for the project. For example, a company has built a 5-story building and they have asked to build 2 buildings of the same type, so they can use ratio methods. They just need to double time and cost for the project. This way you can make an assumption of using ratio methods. We have now apportion methods. Apportion methods is a little bit different than ratio method, but it has the same method of calculation. This method is an extension to the ratio method. Apportionment is used when projects closely follow past projects in feature and costs. For example, the same company who built 5-story building, they have asked to build almost the same building with different features. Instead of an apartment building, they need to build hotel or rooms to be booked. Hotel building is usually different than apartment buildings, so they may use apportion methods to estimate cost and time. This is a simple example of apportion method for the top-down approach. You will start from the top. You have $500,000, and you should distribute the money, the cost, for the departments, and each department for its own work package. Okay. The fourth method of top-down approach is function point methods, which is usually used for software and system projects. We all know software and system projects are a little bit different than other projects. In software industry, software development projects are frequently estimated using weighted macro variables called function points, or major parameters such as number of inputs, number of outputs, number of inquiries, number of data files, and number of interfaces. These weighted variables are adjusted for a complexity factor and added. The total adjusted count variable provides the basis for the estimate that labor, effort, and cost for a project, usually using a regression formula derived from the data or past projects. Regression formula means equation based on past projects. This is a simple example, simplified method of function points. You have elements, and you can multiply the elements by complexity weighting. If it's easy, low complexity, average complexity, high complexity. Each element has its own factors. At the end, this will give me a brief or simple estimate about the complexity of the project itself. Table 5.3 explains a simple software program or software project for patient admitting and billing. Registering patients in a hospital and then billing them. There are several inputs, outputs, inquiries, files, interfaces, and we have factors based on this table for their complexity. After that, you can carry out the total cost of this project by just multiplying the factors and then summing up it all. Okay, the fifth type of top-down approach is learning curve. Sometimes projects require that the same task or a group of tasks or projects be repeated several times. Managers know intuitively that the time to perform a task improves with repetition. So we know if a company have done the similar projects for like 5-10 times, they can sketch a learning curve from that. Sometimes the same project, if you repeat it, may take less time because they already know where the issues are and they learned from their lessons, so that their learning curve has been lowered. So they can estimate more perfectly than before. Let's jump to the second method, which is bottom-up approach. We have also some methods specific for bottom-up approach. The first method is the template method. If a project is similar to the past projects, the cost from the past project can be used as a starting point for the new projects. Differences in the new project can be noted and past times costs adjusted to reflect these differences. This is using template method. For example, a ship repair dry dock company or firm has a set of standard repairs. If a ship comes with a engine faulty or a mechanical fault, they have template for that. Or if this has electrical faults, they have template for electrical repairs, etc. So they have templates for each type of faultness that are used in a starting point for estimating the cost and duration for any project. Parametric procedures applied to specific tasks. Just as parametric techniques such as cost per square foot can be source of the top-down estimates, the same technique can be applied for specific tasks. For example, as part of our Microsoft Office conversion project, there will be need 36 different machines to be installed or converted. So based on the number of machines, we can estimate parametrically how much cost or time needed. The third method is range estimate. There is a specific time we can use range estimating. When do you use range estimating? Range estimating works best when work packages have significant uncertainty associated with the time and cost to complete. We are not very certain about the time and cost of this work package, so we are going to use range estimating. If the work package is routine and carries little uncertainty, using a person most familiar with the work package is usually the best approach. So there is a specific time that we can use range estimating. Here is a comparison between the two methods, top-down estimates and bottom-up estimates. The main differences in the intended use. Others are a little bit similar. Methods, we have discussed the 5 methods and the 3 methods here. WBS package methods have not been mentioned. If you are interested, read it in the textbook. Accuracy for top-down estimates are not so good, while accuracy for the bottom-up estimates should be good, because the overall design is already completed, so your estimate should be more accurate. Preparation cost is between 1/10 to 1/3 of the percent of the total project. Preparation cost is 1/3 to 1% of the total project. When you are going to use top-down or bottom-up estimates for feasibility study, rough time and cost estimates, fund requirements, and resource capacity planning. While in bottom-up, we can use it in budgeting, scheduling, resource requirements, and fund timing. You can see this is general view of estimates. This is a more accurate or in-deep estimates. So if you're going to start a new project, you will start for top-down approach estimates. After you plan the project, you will go to bottom-up estimates to make thorough estimates. Thank you for your listening. If you have any question, don't forget to email me on Moodle to discuss further. Thank you.